Spells are complex beasts, which is why so many spellcasters use intelligence, wisdom, or charisma to cast. In D&D 5e, it takes a little bit more than just saying, I cast Call Lightning, in order to, well, cast Call Lightning. Spells require physical components in order for them to work, and we'll be breaking down those components in today's Handbooker Helper.
Don't know how to play? We'll show you the way. Handbooker Helper. Handbooker Helper.
If you take a peek at one of your spells, you'll notice that underneath the name of the spell, there is a line that says Components. And following that, you might see a V, an S, an M, or a combination of those three letters. These stand for verbal, somatic, and material, and they are the building blocks of spells. Let's start with verbal. Most spells are going to have that V listed, as most spells require you to say something in order to cast. Some sort of chant or magic phrase, something that creates a sound that activates the magic. If your spell uses a verbal component, it has to be spoken out into the world. That's why silence is such an effective spell against magic users. Write that down. Now, that S stands for somatic. Somatic means that it requires a gesture. It might not be a complex gesture, but if the spell you are trying to cast uses a somatic component, you're going to have at least one hand free in order to make that finger wiggle or hand wave happen. Finally, there's M for materials. Sometimes your spell requires an actual object to channel the spell through to be cast. If so, your spell will list exactly what items it requires next to that label M. Maybe it's something simple, like a small feather for Featherfall. Or it could require components with a price tag, like Raise Dead, which needs a diamond worth at least 500 gold, and that diamond then gets consumed once the spell is complete. Every spell will tell you what it needs, and whether or not that material gets used up at the end of casting. I know what you're thinking. I need feathers for Featherfall, a caterpillar cocoon for Polymorph, bat guano for Fireball. How am I supposed to keep track of all of these materials? Well, good news. You have two options to help with that. You can choose to use a component pouch, which acts as an all-in-one hub that's assumed to always contain the majority of the tiny materials you need. Or you can choose to use a spellcasting focus. A spellcasting focus is a single item that a spellcaster uses as a kind of divining or channeling rod that replaces the need for those minor material components. Focuses will differ depending on your class. An arcane focus is an item like a wand or an orb or a staff that is used to channel the arcane powers of a wizard, a warlock, or a sorcerer. A druidic focus is something nature-based, like a feather or antlers, or another wand or staff that's used to channel the powers of nature. Clerics use their holy symbol as a focus, and bards can use their musical instrument. Whatever you choose to use as a focus, pick an item that has meaning for your character. Now, focuses are not just a one and done, now I never have to use materials again cure. If your spell requires materials with a noted money cost in the spell, that means it requires some fancy bits that even a focus can't replace. You must still have on hand whatever ruby dust or diamond or enchanted bowl that the spell requires, and in some cases consumes. The focus takes care of the smaller stuff, but not the financial burden. As always, please read your spells thoroughly before attempting to cast. All the information is right there, telling you whether it must be spoken aloud, gesticulated wildly, or cost an arm and a leg in order to be completed. Nobody said spells were easy.
Handbooker Helper. Handbooker Helper.